The affection gap, why your love feels like an attack. Most owners think they're being sweet while their cat is actually calculating the fastest exit route. We've all seen the airplane ears or the twitching tail and ignored them because the cat just looked too fluffy to stop. The reason you're struggling to bond isn't that your cat is a jerk. It's because you're speaking a human language to a predator. I analyzed the most common cute behaviors and found they're actually the biggest stressors in a cat's daily life. While most people focus on buying better toys, the top 1% understand that psychology beats production quality every time. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you how to stop failing your cat so you can finally get the slow blink you've been chasing. If you don't master this, you'll forever be stuck in the 1,000 view trap of feline rejection. But before we even get to the way you talk to them, we have to address the physical attacks you're disguised as affection. The physical boundaries you're accidentally breaking. Let's start with the belly rub trap. You see your cat flop over, exposing that soft marshmallow underside, and you think it's an invitation for a hand wrestling match. It isn't. In the feline world, showing the stomach is the ultimate sign of trust because it's where all their vital organs live. When you dive in for a rub, you're essentially violating a peace treaty. That's why they go from purring to bunny kicking your wrist in 3 seconds flat. This isn't just a mood swing, it's a specific predatory motor pattern. When a cat rolls onto its back, it's actually bringing all 4 sets of claws and its teeth into play. It's a defensive posture. By grabbing that belly, you've triggered a hardwired reflex. Their hind legs start pumping in what biologists call a disemboweling kick. In the wild, this is how they handle a threat that's gotten too close to their vitals. They aren't being mean, they're reacting to a perceived attack on their most vulnerable spot. If you want to keep that trust, acknowledge the belly with your eyes, but keep your hands on their cheeks or chin instead. Then there are the forced cuddles. I know it's tempting to scoop them up like a plushie, but picking up your cat against their will triggers a massive fight or flight response. Think about it from their perspective. They are small predators, but they are also prey. The moment their feet leave the ground, they lose their ability to escape. It's a loss of autonomy that feels like being trapped by a giant. If they are squirming or their body goes stiff, you've already lost the interaction. Try the 4 on the floor rule. Let them come to you, and if you must lift them, always support their hindquarters. Cats have an incredible righting reflex that allows them to twist in midair to land on their feet. But that reflex requires a sense of gravity and orientation. When you dangle them or hold them like a human infant, you're essentially disabling their internal compass. They feel secure when they have a launch pad under their back feet, not when they're suspended in midair. You also need to watch out for the cute face boop. We love getting close, but bringing your large human face directly toward a cat's nose feels like a looming threat. Cats have excellent peripheral vision, but their binocular vision up close is actually quite blurry. When you loom over them, you're just a giant, out-of-focus shadow taking up their entire field of view. It's intimidating, not intimate. Instead of the head-on approach, try the finger sniff test. Offer a knuckle at their eye level and let them lean in to close the gap. It turns a potential threat into a consensual greeting. This brings us to the difference between head patting and allo-grooming. Most people pet their way too hard or in the wrong direction. If you're ruffling their fur backward or thumping their sides like a dog, it feels like a clumsy attack. Cats prefer rhythmic, gentle strokes that mimic how they groom each other. Focus on the scent glands around the ears and chin. And please, stop with the tail pulls. Even a gentle tug on the tail can cause genuine nerve pain since that tail is literally an extension of their spine. Finally, respect the consent gap. If you stop petting and they don't nudge your hand for more, you've stayed at the party too long. Walk away while they still want you there. If you can master these physical boundaries, you've solved half the problem. But there's a second, invisible layer of irritation that most owners completely ignore because they can't see it or hear it. Sensory overload and the human ego. Beyond physical touch, your house is likely a sensory minefield for a creature that hears 4 times better than you do. We love high-pitched baby talk because it feels affectionate, but to a cat, that excited squealing is a nightmare. Their ears are tuned to the frequency of rodent cries. When you hit those high notes, you aren't saying I love you, you're sounding like a distressed animal or a literal siren. It's overstimulating and confusing. They don't want a cheerleader, they want a calm presence. Try dropping your octave. Use low, soothing tones that signal safety rather than a frantic hunt. Then there is the invisible problem of scent sabotage. You might love your new citrus candle or that expensive sandalwood perfume, but for your cat, it's the equivalent of living inside a pepper spray cloud. Their noses are 40 times more powerful than ours, packed with over 200 million odor-sensitive cells. Think about your daily routine. You wake up and use minty toothpaste. You spray on a floral deodorant. You clean the kitchen counter with a fresh lemon wipe and light a lavender candle to relax. To you, that's a clean house. To your cat, those are scent landmines. Citrus, mint, eucalyptus, and lavender aren't just smells. They are actually natural repellents for felines. Some of these essential oils are even mildly toxic if they get on their fur and the cat licks them off during grooming. When you scrub the floors with lemon-scented cleaner, you are effectively erasing their pheromone markers, the scented signposts they leave to tell themselves the room is safe, and replacing them with a chemical wall. It makes them feel like their own home is hostile territory. It's why they might suddenly start peeing outside the litter box or acting agitated. They're trying to reclaim their space from the lemon monster you just unleashed. Switch to unscented products where you can. Your cat needs to smell themselves to feel like they actually own the living room. We also need to talk about the human obsession with eye contact. In our world, staring is intimate. In the feline world, an unblinking stare is a direct challenge to a fight. If you've ever wondered why your cat suddenly swats at you while you're gazing lovingly into their eyes, it's because they think you're about to throw hands. It's a territorial threat. This is why the slow blink is so famous. By closing your eyes, you are showing them you aren't a threat. Look away first. Let them win the staring contest so they can finally relax in your presence. But even if you stop staring and start blinking, there's one cute habit that's growing on social media that is arguably the most stressful thing you can do to a cat's nervous system. The ego really takes over when we start dressing them up for clout. Putting a sweater or a hat on a cat isn't just annoying, it's a sensory blackout. Their whiskers are precision instruments that detect air currents and nearby objects. When you cover their head or torso, you suppress their fur sensitivity and muffle their radar. They feel blind and clumsy. It's the same reason surprise sneak attacks for a funny video are so damaging. You might get a few likes, but you've just ruined their sense of the home as a safe territory. They'll spend the next 3 hours waiting for the next jump scare. Finally, stop with the flash photography. Their tapetum lucidum is a reflective layer behind the retina that helps them see in the dark by reflecting light back through the photoreceptors. It's a biological masterpiece for low-light hunting, But it also makes camera flashes feel like a physical punch to the eyes. It's a blinding explosion of light that lingers in their vision far longer than it does in ours. We keep doing it for the perfect grid post, but it's a high price for them to pay. Think about the cumulative effect of all these things. The lemon-scented floor, the high-pitched baby talk, the surprise sweaters, and the camera flashes. It's no wonder they bolt the second you walk into the room. You've built a world that's cute for you, but chaotic for them. Turn off the flash and use natural light. Your cat's comfort should always outrank your engagement metrics. Turning irritation into actual intimacy. Now you know why your cute gestures are actually the same things that make your cat want to hide under the sofa for the rest of the afternoon. When you stop triggering their disemboweling motor patterns and stop overwhelming their 200 million cell scent receptors, the relationship changes. This framework is the difference between being a roommate your cat tolerates and the person they actually want to sleep next to at night. It's about moving from human ego to feline empathy. It's about realizing that their jerk behavior is usually just a survival response to a giant who doesn't understand their boundaries. Your homework for today is simple. Try the finger sniff test. Offer your hand at their eye level, stay perfectly still, and let your cat initiate the contact for once. Don't move toward them. Let them close the final inch. If you want to see how to actually read the signals they've been desperately trying to send you while you were busy buying them tiny hats, watch this next video on the secret meaning of understanding the tail flick versus the tail quiver is the next step in becoming the owner your cat actually likes. Stop being the annoying roommate and start being the person your cat actually trusts.